Carnegie Mellon University is being sued for alleged anti-Semitism. The Lawfare project announcing today it filed a suit against the Architectural College in Pennsylvania. This is on behalf of a Jewish student claiming she was discriminated against. She allegedly wasn't excused from a class to attend a memorial service for the Tree of Life synagogue massacre and was told to do a project about what Jewish people do to make themselves so hated. Yeah, the lawsuit alleges the student's numerous complaints about anti-Jewish discrimination were ignored by the school's administration. The student says her professors retaliated against her complaints, even giving her an undeserved near-failing grade. But the Lawfare project says this is not a standalone instance. It's an example of a larger anti-Semitic culture at Carnegie Mellon. It also claims a toxic environment of Jew hatred is likely the result of the more than $500 million in funding from Qatar. And for more on this lawsuit, I want to bring in the founder and the executive director of the Lawfare project, Brooke Goldstein. Brooke, as always, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. So tell us more about this lawsuit and actually the bigger problem of Jew hatred at the university.
Thank you so much for covering this. I appreciate it. Starting with the latter, we know the pervasive hostile environment taking place at schools across the country, not just in the United States, but also in Canada. And the question is, what does foreign funding have to do with it? Now, specifically, our case against Carnegie Mellon University is on behalf of an American of Israeli descent named Yael. And as you mentioned in your introduction, she was discriminated against by her professors when she submitted a complaint, not just to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Department, but also a complaint under Title VI. She was ignored, and instead the school retaliated against her. And what's happening to Yael is happening to students across the United States. Now, Carnegie Mellon just happens to be one of the largest recipients of Qatari money. And the question is, what is going on? And we hope to shed light with this lawsuit on the fact that there is a total lack of transparency when it comes to foreign funding on American college campuses, whether or not this has anything to do with what my client experienced.
Yeah, let's continue this conversation of foreign funding because we've discussed here on the show the billions of dollars in donations flowing from Qatar into American universities. Just take a look at your screen. Qatar gave U.S. colleges $4.7 billion between 2001 and 2021. Now, you can see that Carnegie Mellon, their university, on the list receiving $740 million, Brooke. Qatar is the land of the Muslim Brotherhood and Al Jazeera. How will you address this in the lawsuit? Because we keep talking about this now, and how is this even being allowed?
Well, first of all, I want to be very clear. The lawsuit is based on what happened to our client, Yael. It is fact specific, and we are alleging discrimination against our client. Now, separate and apart from those very disturbing facts that are alleged in our complaint is the fact that Carnegie Mellon happens to be one of the many universities that are receiving millions of dollars worth of foreign funding coming from Qatar. We know that Qatar is connected to Hamas. We know that Hamas is a designated terrorist organization. There have also been reports by groups like NCRI and ISCAP, run by a gentleman named Charles Small, that show that there is a correlation between undocumented foreign funding and a rise, not just in anti-Semitism, but in anti-Americanism and radicalization on our college space. Whether this has anything to do with what happened to Yael, we don't know. And frankly, it's irrelevant to the fact that she has experienced unlawful discrimination. But what we're trying to raise awareness about separately is that there is a total lack of transparency when it comes to donations by foreign countries who are connected with terrorist organizations and radicalization on our school campuses.
Yeah, you're raising a lot of important questions, and it's really important to point out, I love what you said, it's not just anti-Semitism, it's not anti-Jewish, it's also very much anti-American, what we're seeing on these college campuses. Now, Brooke, the House is voting on a bipartisan resolution today calling for the immediate resignation of the presidents of Harvard and MIT. I mean, this after their embarrassing testimony on anti-Semitism, despite both universities standing behind their presidents. Do you feel like these college presidents, including UPenn's, are evidence of a larger underlying problem at our America's colleges, not just those three?
Absolutely. I think that the congressional testimony was really an eye-opening moment for the entire country, because again, this is not just a Jewish issue. This is an issue of national security. If indeed our college campuses are tolerating not just pro-Hamas behavior, but anti-Jewish behavior, and it's their view that this should be acceptable depending on the context, then we have a real lack of leadership in our institutions of higher learning. And I welcome the investigations that were launched on the Hill. I think that they're 10 years too late, but obviously they couldn't come at a time when they could be more relevant. And we need to understand, where is this radicalization coming from? Why is it that our universities that should be spaces of tolerance and liberal learning, and of course, yes, free speech, have become places where Jewish students are getting harassed, they're being discriminated against, and they're also being assaulted, they're being retaliated against. So we need to examine how we have come to this point and what we can do to reverse the situation.
Yeah, you know, I saw on Instagram, and I think it might have been on yours, it was a video of Elise Stefanik speaking, but it was AI generated, right? And it said, what if the context dependent was in reference to Black students? And I even posted, I can't imagine it because it would never happen.
Right. It is socially unacceptable, morally unacceptable to engage in discrimination against any minority community. And yet, what is tolerated against the Jewish community would never be tolerated against the Black community or the Muslim community or the gay community or against females on campuses. We are in the age of minority rights movements, and it is time that the Jewish people, the oldest, most persecuted minority community in human history, receive parity. We deserve equal protection under the law. We deserve our civil rights to be upheld like every other minority community, and especially on U.S. college campuses.
And this country needs to protect its Judeo-Christian values, which is also really important.